emergency is that there is limited time to reply on my part. There is also, it's critical that an investigation and response begin immediately. And thirdly, there is no regularly scheduled meeting between now and then at which we can bring this matter up for approval. So that's my request, is that you declare an emergency so that I can ask you for that action.
When's your deadline, Mr. Baker?
December the 12th is when I have to file an answer by.
And our meeting in December is to the
But every day that passes with the holiday season is going to be a critical day.
Is it possible for you to send us the, like the emails and what was?
I will provide you with a complete copy of exactly what was served on us, which
you see how thick it
is substantial.
We could just go by and read it or something.
I will have that to you tomorrow.
Oh, okay. You can have that to us?
Oh, certainly.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to make an observation, if I might. This is the second instance where a building principal has initiated an action that on the surface appears to be an egregious and perhaps even flagrant violation of the constitutional law. Whether that ultimately proves to be the case, I guess is open to some debate and some judicial treatment. But it seems to me that it has to raise the question, and I address this to the superintendent, are our building principals and other supervisory personnel sufficiently sensitive to what the constitutional and legal parameters are? And two occurrences in a relatively short period of time is troublesome.
I agree. I was probably equally as shocked this morning when Mr. Bickner informed me about this one as I was 5 weeks ago when I heard about it for the first time as well. As far as training, yes. Human Resources has brought in attorneys. We've talked about this. Mr. Bickner, on I can think of at least 2 occasions in principals meeting, principals workshops, has addressed this issue over and over again. So I don't think either one could say, I don't know about it. I don't know what's going on, why it's going on, but I don't believe it's the fault of management as such not providing training, because I think that is absolutely happening.
What are we doing as far as discipline for those actions, because
I've done nothing on the second one as of today, but on the first one I've had a conversation with the principal. Like in all other discipline cases, I really don't want to make a lot of that public. Unless it was a suspension, it would never come to the board. But I can assure you that I supervise and evaluate these principals, and there will be a level of discipline occurring there on the first principal. He'll be leaving at the end of the next semester. So I will deal with it from a supervisory evaluative standpoint in terms of principals. As far as training, it's out there. It has been out there. We need to do one more.
My question.
That raises a further concern then in my mind, Mr. Superintendent. If you indicate, and I have every reason to think that you're correct on this, that staff has been not reminded once of this, but on a number of occasions been advised of the parameters and the risks of this type of action, it raises the question in my mind how overt an action this was on the part of these 2 principals. They certainly can't claim ignorance, or I think you're telling me that they can't claim ignorance. So it would seem as though the action in both instances has the appearance of being very, very deliberate.
I think we need to.
And that's troublesome.
The other 3 principals also, the other 3 schools that this is going on at, even though they didn't write anything in their newsletter, for allowing it, not reporting it to you, I think something needs to be done also. Especially the one school, 12 years at Lake Asbury.
That's been under 3 or 4 different principals there. And that is the only school that it has a track record like that. Clay Hill and Charles E. Bennett started in late August of this year.
Just this year. Shalon was last year.
Was it? but I think, all of those principals need some type of discipline, training, something.
Yeah, well, I firmly disagree that principals who have allowed constitutionally protected prayer around the flagpole, as we've all obviously in Clay County understood it for a million years, don't need to be disciplined. But we'll let that dog lie for tonight. The other thing, Mr. Wortham, with the whatever training that has been done, I guess maybe a course outline and a sign-in sheet, is that something y'all do at principals meeting? Some kind of documentation is where I'm kind of going with this, Mr. Fickner. So if they say, hey, Ms. Turner wrote these things in her letter and that those were improper, we have her name with 39 other principals saying, hey, on August 9th, 2011, I received my beginning of the year briefings on, in the military, we get a briefing on everything every time before I would fly a helicopter. I sign a reading file and say, I know Alltel put up a new cell tower, so if I hit it, I have to acknowledge I've already knew it was there and I wasn't supposed to hit it. Kind of think it's silly, but that in the litigious environment we're in, I think some documentation, if we're not already doing it, or maybe more documentation would be in order.
And I don't know what's available from the past, but I'm certain that I would have to.
Well, if we don't have it in the past, you can't make what you don't have, and I would suggest in the future a training or curriculum outline with a sign-in sheet of who is there representing each school, so that if we do have to come back and discipline, can't be any question about it.
Well, I think 2 down the last 6 weeks gives rise to having to reevaluate what we're doing.
Not to engage in a debate because it's the evening is long on the tooth, but Mr. Van Zandt made a comment, and it invites a comment from me, and that is that how I might feel about this particular issue, and I do have very strong personal feelings about it, and I have to differentiate those personal feelings from what I feel is my legal and moral obligation under the oath that I took when I was sworn in as a school board member. And I think that there's a parallel there that has to exist with our building principals and with all of our administrative people. They very well might have very strong personal views about school prayer and lots of other issues. But when they enter into an office, they have a responsibility to practice that office, not in defiance of or circumventing what are the established rules or ground rules or policy. So I think we have to be very, very mindful of that when we speak on this issue, that we're very careful to differentiate what we feel compelled to say and to do and how we feel compelled to vote as differentiated from how we might personally feel about the issue. I could go on at some great length about the historical movement of